Here we are going to go over step number 5. If you haven't seen the other steps, the videos are on the different pages for each step. We wanted to make short segments where we focus one step at a time. Remember, our goal is to build a language-rich, interactive classroom using the 7 steps. So let's review. Step number 1, teach students what to say when they don't know what to say. Step number 2, have students speak in complete sentences. Step 3, randomize and rotate when calling on students. And please remember, if you can, comment in the comment down below and let us know how you are randomizing, especially now that we are AVL, or some of us are back face to face, and then use total response signals. So please share with us what you are using in your classroom. And so today we're going to be talking about step number 5, which is use visuals and vocabulary. Also, I'm including my depth and complexity icons, which happen to be a great visual, great icons, great pictures to show students so they can continue having those conversations. If you don't know about depth and complexity, you do have a someone on your campus, an advanced academic specialist, that can go over with you about the icons. Or you can also click on the link from above that talks about Gifted and Talented GT, and there I have an introduction to the icons as well. But what the icons are, I keep saying that they are visual representations of what I want the students to think, because 83% of us, 85% of us are visual learners. So we all are looking for visuals. As a matter of fact, that's why we create presentations like this, because we want to see, we want to visually see what or how does that look like. Here's what we do know. What is one reason students struggle with understanding teacher and textbook talk? What is one reason? Now, if we were doing a live session or a face-to-face session, so I would have you respond or use a total response signal by standing up. And this is what I have my icon of multiple perspective, because I want to hear your perspective of what one reason the students struggle. So this visual representation is what I want you to use when you are thinking about the question and answering. I want to hear your perspective. So one of the reasons students struggle with teacher or textbook talk is the vocabulary. It's the level of vocabulary that we use. I said it in the previous video on step number 4. Students know how to talk. Students know how to communicate using slang or using emojis or talking to their friends in the playground or in the cafeteria. But what do they lack? They lack the academic vocabulary. So what do we do with step number 5? Well, with step number 5, we use visuals for whenever we are teaching vocabulary. So here's what we do. We shower them with visuals. Our walls become a visual. Put the word with a visual, put the vocabulary with a picture, with an image, so they can put 2 and 2 together. This is an amazing word wall here that has for example, the word sand, salt, water, and sand, sugar, salt, and it has that visual. Now, of course, this is someone that has spent the time and the money and the dedication to create something like this. But do remember, then in your STEM scopes, you can go to the vocabulary in English and in Spanish, and you can actually print that out. Let me see. All right, so I wanted to show you this because I want to make sure that in case you do know how to do this, if you already know how to do this, then great. If you don't know how to do this, this is the first time, then great. I'm glad that you're able to learn something new. So I went to the waffle here. I'm signed in. I went to the waffle, just kind of went down and went to STEM scope. Of course, you're going to have to sign in using your credentials, your own credentials. But then once you signed in, I'm gonna go up here to the scopes, and I'm gonna choose my grade level. Remember, use the one that says Streamline. Don't use the bottom ones down here. Use the ones that say Streamline. Those are the new ones. I'm gonna go to 3rd grade, for example. We're going to go ahead and study classifying matter. So then you have your 5 E's as always, but also you also have some vocabulary words here. Under the explain, you have vocabulary, picture vocabulary, and watch this. So there they are. I'm sure you're familiar with this. So you have your vocabulary in English, and then you have your vocabulary in Spanish as well. Same vocabulary. You have a visual, you have the word, you have the definition. But watch this. I'm gonna go back to the English. So down here at the bottom, I can print this out as I hang out, but watch, I just learned this. So I can download it or print it out. So there's my preview. I'm gonna go up here where it says print, and my computer, or my printer I should say, gives me the ability to actually, if I click more settings, to actually choose how many I want. So for example, here I chose that I want 4, or I want 9, or I want 6. So now I am building my word wall. So probably 4 would be great. That would be a great size. It has the word, it has the visual, it has the vocabulary. I don't have to be as fancy as the one that I just showed you earlier. I just simply have to put a visual with the vocabulary that I'm doing. So I just print them out, black and white or in color, whichever it is that I'm able to. And there you go. You have a good start to your vocabulary, to your word wall in science. Now, here's what we don't want to have. We don't want to have a vocabulary word wall that is just simply words. Okay, these are just words. There's no picture, there's no classification. It just simply says science. So you can just imagine someone like me that English is a second language. I don't see the connection. I just simply see science. I know there are words that I will find in science, but what does the butterfly and the flowers have to do with motion, pull, push? Okay, I understand the body covering. I can study that, but there's no connection. It's too difficult for me. I'm looking at the details and I don't understand it. But instead, I do want the word with the picture, and I do want the definition, and I do want some sort of a organization to where these are fractions, these are decimals. I do want, for example, here, these are different shapes. These are two-dimensional shapes, and these are three-dimensional shapes, and I can see the difference. They're categorized. There's a great example here of two-dimensional shapes with the size and angles, and over here they're great examples, even the ones that I've seen in an everyday life, like my box of crayons, or just even a roll here of tissue paper, I mean even the globe of a beach ball that I am familiar with. Maybe you use organizer, graphic organizer. That's another great way for the students to visually see what you're trying to organize. So maybe you have something like this where you have mixtures and solutions, and again you are organizing the data, you're organizing the information, and kids can put 2 and 2 together. They're visually seeing this. Or you have graphic organizers as simple as this one here. This is the number 6, and different ways that I can represent the number 6. Your anchor charts are a big part of your visual representations of step number 5, using those visuals, that vocabulary, because you're talking about addition, but you're giving students visuals. 8 out of 10. I keep saying this because 8 out of 10 of your students are visual learners. I love when teachers have the opportunity to unpack the TEKS and use visuals. This is a teacher here in our district that as she unpacks the TEKS, she uses the depth and complexity icons, and here I love that she used the details icon, and she actually had the students writing what are some of the details of what force means. There's the language of the discipline. Again, visuals. Step number 5 It's all about visuals. What we don't want you to do is just simply put things on the wall, but yet never had a chance to explain why they're on the wall. What works best is that if you interact with the students and the students are interacting with the writing, they're seeing the example, they're seeing how it's being built, your anchor chart, how it's being created, and then it goes into the wall, on the wall. And what tends to happen is when there's a quiz or a test and you happen to take that down or to cover it, more likely than not, someone is going to look towards the wall. Even though it's not there, they still visualize it and remember that's what we talked about. And if you go back to video number 1, where I explained step number 1, I go into a little bit of a reason and purpose why we use visuals, why we use the vocabulary attached to a visual, because some words, they have multiple meanings. I mean, if I give you the word apple, some of you are thinking of the physical apple, you know, the one that you can eat and enjoy with some caramel, or just by itself, or with some tahini, right? But some of you, you're thinking maybe of the computer product, of the Apple product, like the Apple Watch, etc. And it has other meanings. So with students, we want to give them the picture with the vocabulary and say, hey guys, when we are studying about this, here's the visuals. Here's how I want you to begin to use them. Again, you're building this interactive, language-rich, interactive classroom. You're giving them on step 1 the freedom to feel safe, that when they don't know, they can have some help. You're giving them the ability to answer in complete sentences by posting sentence stems. You're giving them that freedom and that positive tension, because you're going to randomly pick one of them to be able to answer, so all of them better think and be ready and prepare. You're also giving them a signal to let you know, I'm ready to answer, I'm finished, how can I move on to the next thing? And in step number 5, your room has become this visual masterpiece for students to be able to use that vocabulary that you can point back to and say, remember what we're learning in math. Look, that's what you call an angle that is greater than 90 degrees. You have a picture of it. Or if you're doing science, I showed you how you can print those vocabulary words, and that can be your word wall. I know that we can be fancy and we can, spend a lot of money, but most of the time it's just simply a picture with the word, and it's there, and the kids make that connection and they'll appreciate it, and they'll be very, very successful in your classroom. So if you are ready for the last 2 steps, starting with step number 6, I'll see you there.